If it goes somewhere wildly elsewhere, I'm totally cool with that.
I'm chill. You know that.
What's that?
I'm chill.
Welcome to episode 2 of Contagious Podcast, Contagious Conversations for Automotive Innovation. Today, I am super excited to share with you the conversation that I got to have with Micah Birkholtz. If you checked out episode 1, you got to see and hear from Micah briefly, but today we've got a packed in time of talking to him about this whole automotive and life or work and life balance thing. And he has a super unique perspective. He's been in multiple areas of the automotive industry. You're going to get to see him if you're watching him video, and if you're not, you're going to have to use those ears. But he brings in some props even to talk about the way he sees that work life. And just grab this and grab a hold of this. It doesn't mean you have to work less. It just means you have to balance. So without further ado, I don't want to blow the whole thing. Check it all out. You're going to want to stay to the end because there's a little nugget that he drops right at the end that you're absolutely not going to miss, not going to want to miss. So without further ado, let's bring in Micah. Well, cool. So I think, as we start talking, Micah, I'm really intrigued by your dedication, as I we're friends on all the social medias and stuff like that. And so I'm watching you doing life and doing automotive. And that's really intriguing to me because like the story early on in my automotive story was you can't do life and automotive.
Right.
And so I kind of wanted to get your perspective on that. And then maybe give me a little bit about your background and where you came from in automotive and why you're where you're at now. And how that kind of plays into the idea of how you stayed in automotive, but there's a life around that.
Yeah. Well, one time I got asked this question, like, tell me about who you are and what you do. And my response was, well, my name is Micah Birkholtz. That's easy, right? And what I do is I do yoga. I go running. I hang out with my kids. I play games with them. I love mountain biking, and I list all the things that I do, and I work in automotive.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like so often we get a lot of people that just get caught up is that I'm a sales manager. Well, what do you do? That's a job, that's a career, but it doesn't necessarily define who you are as a human being. And I think that's where we find the most connection is when we start understanding who each other are as human beings. Like when you posted that photo about running and you hit those 10 miles at 7:29 average, I'm like, that was my best 10-mile run too. And I was like, all right, boom, he runs in Hoka's. He's got a great pace. All right, I'm vibing on this guy. This is cool. And I think that's important because when I got into the business, I was young. I was, I just turned 19. I was already married and I had a kid already. And my dad said, like a itchy nose. So that's always good for camera, right? Itchy nose, right? But my dad said, hey, you're young. You don't have college education. You need to make money. You should go sell cars. And I it's like, well, he's my dad, he's also my pastor. So I'm a PK. And so when he said,
okay, my wife is going to flip at this point. She's going to watch this and flip because I'm a PK. We run in Hoka's. We both have beards. We do yoga. We're in automotive. And
we're the same. We're the same guy.
It's
a little bit, you got a little bit longer hair. That's about the only difference.
Yeah, you're older and have a little bit longer hair and you can stand it in the cold and I can't handle that. So
there we go. Yeah. So yeah, my dad's a pastor. My grandpa was, and so I always thought that was the path I was going to go down. I thought that was my journey. It's like I'm going to be the fourth generation pastor out of the family, and it just didn't work out that way. But my dad said, "Go try selling cars," and I was young. I had a lot to learn, and worked my way through sales, and had some hellacious times trying to I started December 21st. My first day in
no
the car
way.
business was December 21st, 1997. And there was no sales training really. I mean,
They were like, you
sorry,
got 3 days
Tom.
to get it right.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Here's a brochures, watch a couple of these Ford Star videos, and learn how to shake hands. And I mean, I don't want to, talk down about the initial training I had, but it was me and one other guy. His name was Keith Deloya. He lasted maybe a year and a half on the sales floor, and that was it. But I mean, we worked our way through the business until
yeah,
you got to certain levels. And when you get to a certain level, you always have to find something new. And it was a constant. It was a constant grind.
yeah,
And I say that the word grind in a positive way because you can take grind as a negative or as a positive. I'm going to use it as a positive. It was a constant grind because it helped move me forward. It was painful at times, but it also made me stronger.
yeah.
But I left the retail side after doing finance for many years as sales manager because I wanted to spend more time at home, spend more time with the kids. So I got into the vendor side. Yeah, right. The vendor world. Where you
Calls
got
and travel, right? I'm sure you're all over that, right?
so this is cool. I started working for a small third party company at the time, and they are actually very active still to this day here in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. It's called carsoup.com. Great company, great operating philosophy. I'm a fan of them, and I loved their product set, and most importantly, I like a lot of the people there a lot. So it's a great company, and they do good work. But I got into that side of it right before the big recession hit. So I got 2 years of great vendor sales. Yes, I'm doing great. I have weekends off, grinding 5 days a week, 12-hour days, enjoying my weekends. But then there's a layoff. And then what do you do? Right? And I think that's the thing is that it was devastating. It was devastating to be laid off. It was devastating to go through this. And I know a lot of people are going through it right now. And I didn't want to feel that way ever again. I didn't want to feel like they didn't want me or that I wasn't of value. And I didn't really equate that. It was just business. And so it started hitting hard. And there are days that I just lay on the couch. I still sent out 300 some resumes at that time with no callbacks. But I started equating who I was by my job and not necessarily who I really was, who I was as a person, as a father, as a husband, and then really starting to understand what hobbies were. And I think that's what the hard thing was for me, is to understand that you could have hobbies, healthy hobbies in the car business, and you have to make room for those, because if you're not making room for who you are. And then you get lost in the shuffle. So I bounced around through some of the different vendor roles. From when I finally got hired back, I then found a role at Cobalt. I was actually, it was ADP, BZ Results, and then acquired Cobalt. And at that time, it was training dealerships across the country on best practices for social media. Before it was a package, really, it was best practice social media marketing. I was hired by the late Ralph Paglia, who worked hand in hand with him, training dealers across the country. Jim Jensen, who works at Syncro still to this day, great guy, great mentor. He helped me understand the shift from selling to consulting. And when you're doing consulting and training, what does that mean for an adult education? And how do you take somebody down that path as an adult to relearn a new product, a new system, a new process? And it just opened up my eyes to a whole nother level of opportunity in there. So, and I really enjoyed that a lot, but I was on the road. Now, once again, here's the thing with this job, but just in automotive, if you're good at it and you love it, it's going to take you away, right? It's going to take you away. If you're at the dealership, you're going to be there 6 days a week. And I found myself in many cases traveling 5 to 6 days a week, staying in hotels. And I thought maybe I should stay home. Maybe I should get back to like why I became a vendor in the first place and get home. So I stopped traveling and worked at a small agency. And then I realized, okay, I got to find somewhere in the middle. And I think that's one thing I really love about like my background is I have given myself the opportunity to find out what I like and what I don't like. So often we find ourselves kind of pigeonholed that we have to stay in this box. This is where you have to be because of you have to have loyalty, or you have to stay in one spot, and then you never understand what's really out there. And so I'm very, very much an advocate of work hard, be dedicated, and learn those opportunities when they come up and take advantage of them. So like we're talking with you about the podcast. Should I do a podcast? Yes.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yep.
I'd rather have that opportunity to do something than to not.
Yeah. So, okay. So when I'm thinking about this, and there's probably, hopefully there's a dealership employee listening, watching this right now. Right. And even myself as a dealership employee on the franchise side, I'm hearing this, and a lot of people might hear this like, oh, to get like this hobby balance or work-life balance or whatever, to find where you want to be, it means going to the vendor space, right? And I think that's what, like, I heard that right at the end for you, that it's not really going to the vendor space or even getting the new schedule or anything like that. Now, I think we'll get to in a second. There's some things that we need to do in automotive from just in general to make sure that like we're caring for people in this. But
yes,
I want to caution us as we're kind of starting this conversation and others to hear, like, you don't have to get out of the sales environment or get out of the service environment or get out of the parts environment to find this way of life that is automotive is a part of who you are, and that you're leveraging your like you-ness, you like who you've become, who you want to become across all of life. And so that's going to look different for different people, right? For you, it's this fine balance between like, oh, maybe there is some travel involved and maybe there is some home involved, but that still frees me up to make sure that I'm caring for myself and the people around me well. But for someone else, that's going to look a lot different. And that's okay. We need to be more willing. I think I heard early in the car business, and this is probably maybe why I've pulled to some of the roles that I have. It was like, oh, if you're in sales, you got to be there bell to bell, ding to dong. If you want to crush it, you got to go hard and you got to be here 6-7 days a week, or you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
That is a lie.
Yeah. That is a lie.
Now, are there some people that are made for that? Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people like they are made to be at the dealership. Maybe that's like how their family is set up. Maybe they don't have family. Maybe that's like, that is what it is for them. Shoot, push in. But also don't forget, like, you do have a life outside of the dealership. You do need to get a headspace outside of that. So
you can be successful with balance.
Yeah. No doubt.
I use this. I have this at my desk. Do you know this toy?
Oh man, that is old school. Yes.
Right. Okay.
My grandpa had like one that was double the size of my head.
Yeah.
It was amazing every time.
So you know how this works, right?
Yeah. You roll the ball around and you got to use the two deals.
Yeah. So one is work, one is home.
Look at this guy.
So this is how I look at life. Is like, okay, sometimes I'm going to have to crank on the work. Okay. It's end of the month, or maybe it's a new kickoff or whatever it is. I need to really crank at work. But if I constantly crank at work, I'm not going to move forward. I'm going to have to hit the home dial right down here, and I'm going to have to keep things in balance. Yeah. And sometimes I'm going to need to spend more time here to make sure I move myself forward, my family forward. So and I think that applies to all business. And yeah, we have work schedules, but there's balance in there, and you just have to find those openings and take advantage of them. It doesn't take a lot to send a message to your family during the workday in between car deals saying, I'm thinking about you, or, hey, this is what I wanted. Hey, how's your day at school going? I know distance learning sucks. How's it going? Having those conversations with them, or, hey, I really miss chatting with you guys. I wish I could be home with you like we had been during the furlough or whatever it is. But hey, how's it going? So there's ways to find balance with your family that way. But I would strongly recommend finding that drive at the work ethic and put that same level of drive into yourself too.
Yeah.
And it's going to pay off.
Man, I just like a quick story on me. So back, man, this is like 2012, 13, 14. All right. I'm pretty big into running anywhere between 30 and 40 miles a week, doing 10 every Saturday type of thing. And I signed up for this Tough Mudder and absolutely enjoyed the heck out of that. Hardest. I mean, I've been multi-sport athlete all my, in my life and done collegiate sports and all that. The toughest mudder was the hardest physical thing that I've ever done. Right. I mean, it was just insane what it took my body to do. But so I get through that and I'm, doing the running in good shape, eating well, all that type of stuff. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was sometime in the neighborhood of our dealership, like shifted hours by 1 hour. Right. And that I let some outside influence totally impact what I was. And I went cold turkey.
Ouch.
Straight cold turkey for 5 years, almost 5 years, to the point of like struggling breathing, like having back pains, chronic shoulder issue, gaining over 30 pounds. Right. I mean, and then also like what I can look back on, having some anxiety that I didn't even know was present at the time. Just a world of, and part of that is because of the physical exercise, but I think part of what the physical exercise gave me was an outlet, something to put energy and attention to that was personal, that wasn't just work. Because shoot, here's what's crazy. In that 5-year timeline, I was working less than the previous 5-year timeline. The previous 5-year timeline, I was putting in like 70 plus hours, and now I had moved to a position in a dealership, in a role and a company that did value work life a little bit more, and was putting in like 45 to 55, but still was diving down this hole, man, like to the point of like really feeling sick all the time. And it wasn't until I woke up and I was like, holy cow, I've got to do something that is outside of this. And look, I picked back up running again. And that's, you said something about that. But so it's been a massive shift for me. I mean, a massive shift. But here's what's crazy is when I was running back then, I was getting up at 6 o'clock to run. And that hour shift like changed my mindset. I couldn't do it in my mind. I get up at 4:25 every single day now.
Wow.
Because that's what it takes for me to do that work, family, and be able to produce in every element.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, it's funny because back in my dealership days, I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I was eating horribly, wasn't taking care of myself because I just didn't know any different. I did sports in high school, but you get selling, start selling cars, and you're standing out learning from the old dogs on the point. They're out smoking. They're and I was already a smoker by then, but I mean, there was nobody that I worked with that said you need to be healthy. There's one person. Now there's one person that was constantly working out and pushing himself, had the little shaker bottle back in those days of the late 90s, early 2000s. And you know what? He's still doing to this day. His name's Aaron Weichlingut. Him and his wife own a Monster Events, I think it is called. And he's a great motivator, does tent sales and does direct mail pieces. And he's the guy. He's the guy that when I needed somebody to ask questions about it, that he was there. So it's interesting. Another thing that you had mentioned about the number of hours that you're working, and Yago a buddy of mine that I think you guys introed and had a little little
we had a little bat, a
little back and forth. But what's cool, he said something to me the other day, just this past week. He says, when you do more, you can do more. When you do more, you can do more. So I look at that as like, all right, if I'm working out one time a day, I could probably do it twice a day. And if I'm doing that, I could probably fit in more. And if I can do that, I would have more energy. And something that I've always believed in is that motion creates emotion. So the more active I am, I get my heart rate going. I'm starting to pump and working at a level mentally that I can do 10 dumbbells a day if I need to, right? Where I'm constantly moving. And you know what? When I need to take a break, I got my yoga mat on the floor right next to me right here.
Just downward dog real quick and you're in.
I'm there. I've had my kids, like, after me doing a demo, I'll see them looking through my office window, and I'm doing a handstand right there, and they're like, "What?" It's like, it's work. This is part of my. This is me working.
This is necessary. No, it's not part of it. It's necessary.
Yes.
Like, if it's not there, everything else falls apart. That's what's crazy, and that's what I think I see a lot of times is people will either depart auto or go to vendor space or like completely crash on, especially like me. I see, new salespeople come in, and what they've done is they've gone, okay, I have to throw everything else out because I'm at the, I'm here. And that's not the encouragement. Now what
it doesn't solve the question. It doesn't solve the answer either. It doesn't answer the problem that they're facing. It's like they don't know. You're constantly making those shifts, making those changes, and you're finding yourself in the same rut. I did it when I went from one dealership to the next. I worked in a major group, and then I went to a different group to find out if I would like it better there. And then I went to another one, and I found out it just wasn't. Maybe the dealership world wasn't for me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. And for those that are in the vendor space and they're wondering why, I've worked at how many different vendors. Maybe being a vendor is not for you. Maybe going to a dealership is.
I'm excited about that because I think that that's a reality. I think that there are some vendor side people that might need to come to the franchise, to the dealership side, because they have that type of drive. They have that type of mentality. They're beginning, maybe they started in the vendor side and they're starting to understand what it takes to be this kind of like, I don't want to say like out with the old, in with the new, but like this new wave that's going on. They understand that because they are in more of those conversations. And so we're going to, like, the franchise side is going to need some of that, is going to need some more of that going both ways. Because then I think we're going to get more backgrounds, more stories, more understanding level of like what it takes to do this in our space. And then it's not just like, oh, vendors are just selling this product or this thing that dealers have to figure out how to intertwine.
Right.
It's like there's conversation both ways. And now we both sides of the industry understand each other at a whole nother level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely get that. I would love to see more vendors and dealers. And that's the thing, is like once you get a partnership, right? You've got that partner, from whether a vendor or your dealer, you got that partner. All right, great. We're gonna you buy the product or we bought the product, whatever it is. But at that point, it generally trails off unless you have a partnership where you say, hey, what do you know about this product? Or, hey, I'd love to understand how you guys desk deals. How does somebody buy a car from you? And I almost want to see some type of mentorship and or sponsorship saying, hey, I know you're a vendor, but maybe just come and shadow me for the day and just see what our dealership operations are like. Maybe that will help you in working with more dealers. And here's the thing. I don't think that that's ever going to give up like trade secrets, because literally everybody's saying the exact same thing. These are the best practices, or these are some great things to do. The difference is that some will execute and others won't.
Yeah.
Here's
the thing. Like, okay, maybe I'm naive in this, but I think probably in other verticals, there's more people having conversations across the table with competitors than what there are in automotive.
Yeah.
Particularly on the dealer side. Like, we're like, oh, no. We can't have conversations with like dealer X across the city because they're a competitor. Oh, we can't let them in on our secret sauce, how we do business. It's like, no, like seriously, y'all. Everything's out in the open. Everything's online. We're all chasing, this sales or service or retention or parts, parts growth. Like we're all going after that. And I love, Paul Daly and I have great conversations. And one of the things, like this dealers pushing back thing gets me all pumped up, right? Because it's like, oh, let's band together. Let's actually talk. Let's actually say, hey, we're going to push into this industry together instead of like, okay, competition. Great. I love competition. I want to beat the dealership down the street. No doubt. I want to grab market share from him even, right? But I do also want him to succeed.
Right.
And I want the other guy to succeed and the other girl to succeed and the other person to succeed, because if we all succeed, then we won't get pushed out by whatever may come. Right.
Right.
And I think that's part of the idea of like the attraction to our industry that we need to have happen. If there's a collaboration mindset within our industry, more people from the outside looking in are going to go, that looks attractive.
Right. Right. It's a combination of that collaboration within the organizations and within the industry. And I also think that it's an understanding and maybe a shift in the growth of the existing how we look at the business and how we treat employees and how we treat each other, that can make a big shift. I've worked with dealer groups that are awesome. They take care of their people. There's education plans. There's a process and a pathway from the time that you're hired to what it's going to take for you to get to become a manager. Right. These are the steps to it. If you want to do it, this is what you do. And then you're going to be elected to take additional college courses. There's organizations out there that will invest in their people because they believe in it and they want them to succeed. And they want them to succeed whether it's within their organization or outside of it. And I've been to other stores where the desk manager or the general manager or the sales manager won't share with the salesperson just how to do their job.
Yeah.
100%. Instead, you're not doing
because they have this fear mentality that you might take it, or you might take mine. And
exactly.
Like my thought always is if I share with someone what I know, right? So in my goals, I sent it to a few people this year. And in my goals is to replicate parts of my knowledge, like a DNA replication in other people this year. Because if there are more people that know how to do my job or the things that I know, whether it be my job or the things that I know in the sales or service environment, the only thing that I get to do is find something else to execute really well at.
Exactly.
Right. And that's super exciting to me. I think that's a big growth mentality when we talk about, the especially the dealership environment. I think people are looking for that. People want people to pour into them. And I agree. I think I'm going to talk to my COO here in a few weeks, but him and some others are doing it, have the desire to do it, are putting, and probably a lot others better than what we're doing. And there's probably people listening to this that are going, oh yeah, we're doing that. We want to do that. And then there's some others going, how do I do that? And then, because reality is there's not like there's not a dealership in a box for how to do that. It's a lot right now of like, we've kind of got to figure it out, but that's why this conversation is happening, because we want more people that are pressing into life and who they are, and more people pressing into automotive and what that is. And like I said on episode 1, and I'll probably point to this like every podcast in 2021, but more people desiring to be in automotive in 2025 than there are right now is going to be good.
Exactly.
And so if we can create environments where that's healthy and we're ready for that, and people not just hear that, but feel it functionally, this industry is going to be rocking because it's exciting. It's a fun industry.
It is. It is. There's a lot of opportunity, and I hope that when I talk about the different business setups that I'm not coming across in a negative light on it. I understand that there's different ways that people manage. I understand that what does it resonate for me in some cases? No, in others it does. But I don't want to ever talk bad about the dealership because that's because of the dealership is where I am today, and I
Yes.
like where I am today. But I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't go through those steps, if I didn't have to learn how to do a walk around, if I wasn't threatened to be fired when it was a snow day and we're moving cars and I hopped into a little Ford Fiesta that was a 5-speed and said, oh shit, I don't drive a 5-speed, and hopped out. And the used car manager said, you're either learn to drive that car right now or you can leave. It's like, well, oh, okay. So guess what I did?
You popped the clutch twice and then you figured it out, right?
I figured it out. Exactly. I figured it out. I learned how to drive that car. And so these are things that like, once again, if it's that type of ingrained business philosophy from working at the car dealership level, that I have so many like points to share with my children.
Yeah.
Right. So like my kids are struggling with trying to learn a new concept. And I said, and I can come back to that story. It's like, hey, I had to learn a whole new concept or else I wouldn't have been able to have food on our table. Now you have to learn this concept just so you can play video games in an hour. What do you think it's that? Just go for it. Just do it.
Yes. So. Yeah. No, I absolutely love that. And I think I've been caught in the past discounting like the first 6 months I was in the business at that Kia dealership. And the reality is that 6 months had a part to play in where I'm at now.
Yeah.
The training videos that I watched in that room had a part to play that I'm, where I'm at now. Right. The learning e-leads, from that shift, the getting the wrinkling of the deal sheet when I brought back a terrible offer and chunking it over the sales tower had a part to play in bringing me where I am now. I think we can communicate better with our people than maybe I was communicated with, but I think there are some lessons that I learned during that people in the automotive industry still need to learn. So if you're going, well, am I in the new dealership thing or am I the old school guy or gal? Where am I? Like wherever you're at, you have a valuable part to play in the automotive industry. And that's what these conversations are all about. It's everybody that's in the automotive industry right now has a valuable piece of the conversation. And if we all put those pieces together, it's not going to be just a few people telling us where we need to go, or it's not going to be Apple trying to take it over, or Tesla saying you guys all stink, or,
right.
Carvana's not going to be able to put up a billboard that say car salespeople suck. They're not going to be able to do that if car salespeople don't suck.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. and that comes back to training. I think that's such a big piece of it. It's at the dealership level. Why do we suck? Well, we were hired in a certain way. We were trained in a certain way. And then when we do execute, there's no level of accountability to maintain those types of what we should be doing. Why was my deal crumpled up and thrown out? Because I probably didn't fill it out right, but I also probably noticed there were probably 3-4 other guys that didn't fill it out properly and they still worked the deal.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. But because I wasn't the 30 car guy a month, maybe I was just selling 15 cars a month. Maybe I wasn't the top 30 or 40 a month. Mine got ripped up. Theirs, he's fine. And so I had one general manager, Dominic, say over and over again, is that gross covers all sins.
Yes. Always.
As long as you have gross, you can do what you want, right? If you're selling cars and you're making money, you're fine.
Yeah.
You've been made whole.
Yeah. Right? You've been made whole. But yeah. And not to get like too off topic, but like gross is not going to be the conversation. I personally don't think the gross, or I think volume of car deals is definitely going to be the conversation, but gross is going to be controlled by an office somewhere. And it's going to be super analytic, and people are going to use things like what's on your hat right there to make sure that we're, managing all of that traffic. Yeah. What is that thing?
What is that?
He's Brandon. I'll have a hat one of these days. We'll get Brandon.
There we go.
But,
well, I figured you're in Nashville, right? Nashville area. Nashville. So there's a little place, a little music scene here too. I can see if you can see that. It's a
First Avenue.
Have you heard of First Ave?
No. Where's that?
Minneapolis. First Ave. Prince.
Nice. No.
That is the mecca of music in Minneapolis. That's where like Prince got his start. Oh, Morris Day. I mean, you name it. There's so many.
I've totally lost every card that I have as a music major in college right now. That's just that's shameful of me. Shameful of me.
That's okay. Maybe I should have made like a Sergei Rachmaninoff comment, or maybe bring in some like Russian Baroque, and then
you would have had me.
There. See, that's it. That's
you would have had me. Yeah, that was all the classical education. But
there you go. That's it. It's my fault.
So tell us, 2021, you've got some big goals. Let's talk just about like you. What are you doing to balance automotive and life right now? Currently, what have you changed? And what do you think that's gonna produce out of you?
Sure. So one thing I'm doing a little bit differently this year than I've done in the past is I'm kind of giving a throwback. I actually ordered, not to give too much of a plug for anybody, but I picked up a planner, daily planner. It's called Rise and Grind. Glenn Lundy.
If you're watching.
Yeah. So client, partner, somebody that we've worked with and that's been a friendly with our company for a while now. I've seen him post about this and said, all right, great. So like this is tomorrow. Like it gives me what my top 5 things I need to make sure I focus on, notes for the day, what I'm going to do today, what I'm going to do for the month, and what I'm going to do for a year. And I'm going to keep that in front of me over and over and over again. Yeah. I'm going to write down things I'm grateful for. Right. I'm going to focus on that. What am I focused on? And there's 2 things on here I suck at. I will tell you right now. And it's something that I suck at now. I'm struggling with it. I'm going to get better at it. That's my mentality. I suck at it now, but I'm going to get better. It's writing down what I'm going to do at what times. Okay. Yeah. I struggle with that. Right. Because I like to just go from one to the next. Where am I at? What am I doing? What do I need to do? I need to write that down better. So that's one thing I'm struggling with. And then I will tell you the snooze button. I got to tell you, some days I just jump right up, get right out and start running or hopping on my bike. Other days, I really love my wife. So if it means that I get to spend some extra time with her, just laying in bed and talking or just being close to her, I'm going to hit the snooze button. I'm going to take advantage of that time. Nice. So I'll be honest with you. I've hit the snooze button maybe twice today. It's like, hey, I'm just going to be here because she's not working. I'm not working. We're not doing anything other than just being. So I'm going to take advantage of that. I still still got to work on time, still got my workout, still got my things that I'm grateful for written down, but I took that extra time with her. So
that's okay. So I'm going to say that that's not hitting the snooze button. Technically, I feel like that was intentional. There was some intentionality in there. So I appreciate it. Well, I'm going to keep you accountable to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And hey, if Micah, make sure that now you've got him on, like he's going on and said this is what he's doing. So
my goal is that I maintain what I'm going to do for the month. Right, I wrote down those specific things, and by putting it in front of me and writing it down, I'm going to manifest that. I'm going to work it. I'm going to meditate on it. I'm going to pray on it, and it's going to be a focus. And because of that, when you do that, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, man, I'm excited for you. I'm excited to learn more about that. I am pumped that you joined me in having this conversation. We'll probably do it again soon. And I hope that if you're checking this out, that you are encouraged by something today. Like if you're not all the way there, just take a baby step. Just take a little baby step. Do something tomorrow different than you did today towards something. Don't just do something different just to, I guess I'll try this. Like go in a direction, drive towards something. He's got more. Look at this guy. He's got a whole presentation set. This
is what. So I've got a lot of knickknacks. Okay, and one of the knickknacks that I help for focusing is something like this. All right. So this does do one thing different today.
I love that.
That's from Brent Weiss. Brent Weiss is a great friend up in Canada. He's been in automotive for years. He's got an amazing marketing. He gives some of the best in-depth trainings that you'll ever get to at a digital dealer or at a NADA or even at like TIADA up in Canada. But that's his thing, is do one thing different today.
Yeah.
So that I keep that as a reminder. Yeah, I have knickknacks all over my office just to keep myself focused on certain things.
Keep yourself on it. Yeah. So do one thing different today, do one thing different tomorrow, drive towards something, set your mind on something, know that you have value in the automotive industry and we need you if you're in the automotive industry. If you're not in the automotive industry and you're listening to us going, wow, I didn't think that there were people that thought that way in automotive. Come on, get on board. Let's go. It is an amazing industry. Like vendor, developers. There's like the number of software engineers that are jumping in the automotive industry is insane right now. Salespeople, people that love it. Like if you've loved to work on cars your whole life, we need technicians yesterday. Just so you know, I thought I'd throw that out there.
Big time.
Like do something, drive towards something, get a part of automotive. Micah, before they go, I'm going to do the podcast thing every time we do the podcast. Tell them where they can find you and connect with you.
Sure. First and foremost, you want to shoot me a text, 612-406-0877. Don't hesitate. It might be delayed, but I'll get back to you. Also, you can find me on Instagram, Micah_Birkholtz. That's MICAH_BIRKHOLZ. Long name, not my fault. Blame my parents. Facebook, I'm on there. I'm not really on Twitter anymore, but you can also find me on LinkedIn. Clubhouse. If you're on Clubhouse, I'll be hanging out on that. I think there might be a hangout coming up in the next day or so. Maybe do some chatting. So I'll be on there. So yeah, you just reach out and you'll find me. Just Google Micah Birkholtz and watch out for some of the negative stuff, but have fun with it. Search Micah.
Watch out.
Watch out.
Coming. Yeah.
Don't search images.
Don't search images. Yeah. Hey, look, if you Google either one of our names, we'll probably come up pretty early because like he said, our parents did the thing and it's not our fault. So
Exactly.
Thanks, Micah. We will catch you next time. Thank you for listening to Contagious Podcast.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. As always, join us tomorrow. That's Thursday. If you are watching this when we launched, if you haven't, and you're listening to this at any point, make sure and join us on Clubhouse to continue the conversation, or on LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. Join that conversation, comment, like, subscribe, make sure that your voice is a part of this. We'd love to have more voices and not less, talking about how automotive can innovate to be more attractive to not just customers, but also to people to work in automotive. And so we want more people to have that work-life balance and engage and encourage each other toward innovation. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week.